It's pay comparison time. Wow, it's been a long time since I have done a video like this. So in today's video, we're gonna take 2 company drivers, 2 owner operators, 3 lease operators, and 2 husband and wife teams. And we're gonna show you what these drivers make here at ET Transport. This is a great video for you guys to compare. There has been a huge downshift in our economy, so everybody has gotten affected in the last 18 months. But I think it would be great for those of you that are thinking of becoming truck drivers one day, and for those of you that are in our industry, why not compare? Maybe you guys want to upgrade, maybe you want to downgrade. And hey, for those of you that want to come out of this industry, I'm going to give you a solution also. So let's get into it. Now, one of my roles here at ET Transport is usually when it comes close to the 1st and the 15th, that's when we release the pays. And what I do is on the 30th or on the 29th, I usually get a it used to be a stack of, now it's an email with probably about, 100 attachments, and I go over just glance every single driver's pay. Now, why do I do that? So sometimes I have owner operators or lease operators, and they ran their 6,000 miles in 15 days, and then they also have a big repair. So if they have a $3,000 repair, $4,000 repair, so once that repair gets deducted, the driver goes home, really with almost nothing. So what I would do is I would send an email, say, hey, can you do me a favor? Can you please take this repair and divide it over 3 paychecks? And then the next time they get another paycheck, I'll review that pay again. But the last thing I want to do is, send somebody home that's been working for 15 days with, an extremely low pay. So we're going to get into this video. First, let's start with the company drivers. So company drivers, these are drivers that work on payroll, okay? So as I go through their paycheck, you can see here their gross earnings was $3,840. Our company drivers here at ET Transport are currently making in Canada, they're doing 54 cents per mile, plus 2 cents extra, plus reefer, plus hazmat, plus waiting time if there is any, plus layovers, and then plus your 3-cent safety bonus. That's really what our company drivers are currently making here at ET. So a payroll driver is somebody who actually pays taxes right off. They have their gross earnings, and then they have their CPP, EU, and EI here in Ontario. In the US, it would be the same thing. Every state, every province, in the US has different taxes of what they pay, but roughly it's around the same. It's anywhere between 35, 37, maybe 39%. Here it's a little bit higher, but let's go over the driver's pay. So here we have 6,671 miles, okay? And he basically, you can see here gross earnings, and then you can see the payroll deductions is $964, leaving the driver with $2,985 net. Now our next driver, all right, 6,133 miles is what driver number 2 drove, and he netted $2,693. He paid $992 in payroll deductions. So this is a pay stub here in Ontario. Okay, we'll look at the difference between driver number 1 and driver number 2, but you can see how much money that they're making. Now, at the end of the year, what you should know about drivers that are on payroll, they're most likely going to get a refund from the government, okay, for anything else that they've paid. So you could see here, for example, the gross earnings year to date is $60,000, and then you have bonuses or whatever, and then driver deductions, and you can see that so far his net pay until today was $50,088, and the other driver, his net pay is $37,588, and you can see that he contributed in taxes. One of them contributed $14,000, the other one contributed $20,000 in taxes, and most likely at the end of the year, if you have a good tax accountant, you are going to get a refund. The company that we use is M7 Taxes. They have offices both in Canada and in the US. I believe they have 13 or 14 offices. Really, really good company. I've sent them lots of customers, and they are extremely happy. That's all they do, is they specialize in the trucking space. Owner operators, lease operators, and company drivers. So if you need anybody to do your taxes, feel free to reach out to them. Now we're gonna get into the lease operators. And the lease operator pays, so this is guys that have signed up to our lease purchase program. Now I know there's some companies out there that have a horrible reputation. Our reputation is a little bit different. I think we're extremely popular. I get tons of phone calls. You would have to qualify for our lease purchase program. We don't just sign anybody and put them into a truck. That's not the way we do things. And also our trucks are not for free. You would have to have a down payment. For those of you that have bad credit and have a down payment for a truck, I highly recommend that you stay away from the dealerships. You get into a good lease purchase program where you can get competitive rates, financing rates based on your driving record and not based on your credit score. But I got 1, 2, 3 drivers here that I really want to go over their pay statements. We'll start off with driver number 1. From September 1st to September 15th, these are the pays that are coming out in a couple of days. All right, so you can see over here, this is a fairly new lease operator. How do I know that? Because he still has a holdback. So here we have a $2,000 holdback as long as you have the buy down insurance. He has a truck lease where he's leasing the truck from us. You can see it's $1,062 plus HST, which is $1,200. He has a disability insurance, his buy down insurance, his fuel Canadian, fuel US. So driver netted $5,440. $5,440. Now, how many miles did he drive? The driver drove 5,864 miles. So again, here our owner operators, our lease operators, they all get paid per mile, whether they're empty or loaded. We have loads, we don't have loads. For every truck that driver drives, he gets paid for it as a lease operator and an owner operator. Now, some of you might say, oh, your rates are horrible, you know, $1.55 plus 9 cents or 8 cents fuel surcharge, that's horrible. But you have to take into account that the company pays for everything. They pay for your tolls, for your insurance, for your plates, for all of your on-road expenses, the reefer fuel, for everything they pay for, the company pays for. Now, there are pluses and minuses to this pay system. I'd be the first one to say that when things are really, really good and the rates are really, really high, that is the downfall of working in a rate per mile. But what it does is it gives you stability. Pretty much the same paycheck every single 15 days. You know, you don't have the highs and the lows. You don't care what the market is. You don't care what freight rates are. You get paid and you get paid the same per mile. And usually the drivers probably do about $1 per mile net in their pocket driving in the van reefer division. So that's driver number one. The truck that he has is a 2021, I think, Freightliner Cascadia. Now let's get into unit number 6, also a lease operator. Now you can see here he pays pretty much the same thing. Try to usually keep the payments at about $1,000 every 15 days, approximately plus minus $500, $550 per week. These are well-maintained, you know, company trucks. They all have battery or diesel APU units, and I stress this out a lot to everybody out there, guys. As the fuel starts coming up, you really don't want to be idling those trucks. Here you have a driver that drove 6,611 miles, and the driver netted in his pocket $5,234, okay? So you can see his deductions here. He has his truck lease, he has disability insurance, buy-down insurance, and fuel in the US. Okay, driver netted $5,234. Again, these are 15-day pay statements. Now let's quickly go over one more lease operator. Okay, here we have a driver that drove 5,272 miles. He grossed out $9,142. You can see his deductions here. His truck lease, $1,073 plus HST, that's $1,200. You can see disability insurance, buy-down insurance, fuel Canadian, fuel US, and you have your $4,883 is the net take home. Now, another thing most of you are going to say, which is true, that these figures, now if you take about $5,000 and you multiply that by 24 pays, the driver's approximately making about $120,000. Now, this $120,000 at the end of the year, this funnels through a corporation. Obviously, the driver is leasing a truck, he's an owner operator, he has his expenses, and then at the end of the year, he will still be paying taxes. So what I usually recommend, you know, and this is advice of the M7 tax group, usually recommend for owner operators to take themselves a salary, you know, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a year, leave the other $60,000 inside your corporation and accumulate wealth and build wealth within that corporation. Now, obviously repairs and maintenance are also going to come, so you got to really account for that too. But overall, you know, the lease purchase program, whether in Canada or the US, gives you a much more money than, well, you can see it for yourself, the difference between a lease operator and a company driver. A little bit more headache, but yes, you know, you do take home probably twice as much as the company driver. Now, as promised, you know, we have a couple of owner operator pay statements over here. Let's go through them. So owner operator number one, you can see here also 5,357 miles is what they drove, grossed out $9,656. You can see here that this is a fairly new owner operator. Actually, why? Because I see that he only has $600 in his holdback. So every pay, there's $300 that goes towards the holdback until we get the $2,000. But you can see here, fairly new owner operator, disability insurance, buy-down insurance. Now, most of these owner operators usually come in from these videos. You know, they look at the pay and they say, oh, wow, this is either a lot more than what I'm making. I kind of like that. I like the stability. I like that this guy is very transparent. I want to work for this company. But fuel Canadian, fuel US, and then he has here parking, I guess 1-2 days he parked in one of our yards. You can see here that the owner operator netted $6,200 in 15 days. Is this a good pay? I have no idea. Only you guys can decide. That's what our owner operators make. So that's owner operator number one. Let's go into owner operator number two. Now, this guy drove a little bit more, 6,291 miles is what he drove. $10,306 is what he grossed out. There is fuel surcharge, you could see here. Also, this is a fairly new owner-operator. He's only been here about 4 months because he still doesn't have the full $2,000 for the holdback. You can see here disability insurance, buy-down insurance, fuel US, and then you can see that the driver over here took home $6,701 is what this driver made net into his pocket. Now we got owner operator number 3. So owner operator number 3 drove the most amount of miles, so did 6,700 miles, and then he grossed out 11,356. Now all of these paychecks are from the same timeline, from the 1st to the 15th, okay? The driver has buy-down insurance, the balance in the holdback is $2,500, fuel US, fuel Canadian. Owner operator took home $6,568, which is almost dead on $1 per mile net, okay? Now, before I go into the biggest paychecks, which is the owner operators that either husband and wife teams or super singles, we call them super singles because they really max out the mileage because some of them do the Canadian lanes. But before I go into this, now there are a lot of you that are thinking out there to become truck drivers. If you do need help with the general knowledge test, I've created a free portal for you guys out there to practice the same questions that are gonna be on your test or similar ones to it. All you have to do is log in to truckingacademy.us, go into tests, and then go into the general knowledge test, and it's basically a free multiple choice questions. I think there's 100 questions over there that will help you practice for that general knowledge test, and it's free for everybody to use out there. But now let's get into the biggest paychecks, which is the husband and wife teams that are working here at ET Transport. So we have 2 units. Let's go over the first one. I'll take the smaller one first and leave the better one for last. Here we have our husband and wife. They drove 8,725 miles. Okay, now some of you might say that, hey, you know, for a team that's fairly low, I don't promote anywhere, you know, that we have work for team drivers. This is more of a, we call them, you know, a super single. They like to sleep, you know, every night from midnight until 5 a.m. The truck is off. And both of our husband and wife teams, they do the exact same thing. So in this pay, they produced 8,725 miles. They usually produce between 7,500 miles to 9,000 miles every 15 days. But with this particular pay statement, which is again September 1st to September 15th, they drove 8,725 miles, grossed out $15,208. You can see here that this husband and wife, again, also fairly new owner operator to our fleet. They have disability insurance, buy down insurance, fuel Canadian, fuel US, $197 in parking, and then they have $8,292 net into their pocket. Now, when it comes to the husband and wife teams, or when it comes to successful owner operators, their truck really matters. So the type of truck that you are driving really matters, because the fuel consumption is everything. All your money is in your fuel. So right before I go into the biggest pay statement that I have here in front of me, I just want to tell you guys that there are some of you guys out there that have absolutely had enough with the trucking industry, with the highs, with the lows. I talked to thousands of drivers, truck drivers that are in my database. And I want you guys to know that I created something really cool about 3 or 4 months ago. Basically, it's a personality quiz. And for those of you that are thinking of coming off the wheel, there is a personality quiz that you can take. And this quiz basically will ask you about 20 different questions, and it will tell you where you can basically fit into the trucking industry, but in a different type of role. Like, for example, you know, safety and compliance, or a driver recruiter, or, you know, a dispatcher, or a freight broker. So there's a lot of drivers that have already taken it, and some of you guys should definitely just take the quiz. Even if you don't want to come out of the wheel and want to do it for fun, you guys should do it just to see what your personality matches with. Now, let's get into that last pay statement. Again, husband and wife team, they produced 7,917 miles, so lower than our first team, but for some reason they have a little bit more left over. So $13,300 is what they gross. Their holdback, they have $200 balance, $2,000. Disability insurance, buy down insurance, fuel Canadian, fuel US, and then they have $8,665 left over. One thing that I can mention, could say, is sometimes when the holdback, you guys see, you know, an extra $300, you know, even though I say that they've only been here for 2 months, sometimes a repair bill can deplete the person's holdback. So sometimes I would get a phone call saying, hey Ronan, I've run into some problems this month. I had a big repair bill of $4,000. I can only pay, you know, $1,000 every month. So I tell them, hey, why don't we do this? You pay the $1,000, I will take it out of your holdback, and then you can replenish your holdback again. And that really gives them, you know, a lot of breathing room, because they don't feel that repair bill, that $3,000 repair bill. They just take $2,000 off their holdback, and then they replenish it at $300 every single paycheck. So there you have it. I mean, in this video, you guys got a lot. You guys got company drivers, lease operators, owner operators, and even owner operators with a husband and wife team. We call them super singles. You got to see all across the board what it is that they're currently making. The only advice that I have for you guys out there, if you are a company driver and you're limited by the amount of money or that earning potential, I highly recommend that you either, at some point or another, maybe as the economy gets a little bit better, that you guys look into becoming owner operators. And if you need my help, I've seen lots of people succeed and I help people to succeed to become owner operators. If you need to reach out to me, if you need my help, I have even 15-minute time slots that you can book with me. Just, let me give you a program out there about how to transition yourself from a company driver to an owner operator. I'd love to help you guys out. You can find all that on truckingacademy.us. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did enjoy this video, please guys, share the information out there. I'm Ronan, and I'll catch you in my next